Is that enough to kill a monster?
What makes you think I kill monsters?
You seem like you killed all the things.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2025 dark fantasy horror Dust Bunny. The film is written and directed by Brian Fuller and it stars Mads Mikkelsen, Sophie Sloane and Sigourney Weaver. Now the film focuses on a little girl called Aurora. She is living in an apartment block with her parents, well, her foster parents. She is fairly sure that there's a monster living under her bed, more specifically under her floorboards. And she wants somebody to do something about this. Now she suspects her neighbour, played by Mads Mikkelsen, is some kind of killer of monsters, because she follows him one night and sees him take out what appears to be a dragon in Chinatown. It's not a dragon, it's just a bunch of bad guys in Chinatown, but she perceives it as to what it is. Looks like a dragon. So she gets as much money as she can by stealing from a church and essentially tries to hire Mads Mikkelsen's character to kill the monster under her bed. Obviously, he doesn't believe her, but when she explains that her parents have been eaten by this monster, he has to kind of step up and be almost like the parent figure for this little girl. However, the trouble is, there is also a lot of hitmen out to kill what would appear to be Mads Mikkelsen and the girl, so they've got double trouble on their hands. Is there a monster under her bed? Is Mads Mikkelsen going to be able to deal with that? And how are they going to stay alive with this long list of hitmen tracking them down to kill them? Right, what are my thoughts on Dust Bunny? I saw the trailer for this one several weeks ago now, and I thought it looked really charming and really creative. The concept of, is there a monster under her bed? The film plays with that and plays with you as an audience member for a big chunk of the film. Is it true? Or is it her imagination? Or is there something more sinister going on? In regards to these hitmen, are the hitmen involved? Sort of thing. We don't know until we do. And obviously I'm not going to spoil that here, what actually happens in the film. I have to say, I think this young actress, Sophie Sloane, does a brilliant job here as Aurora. A fabulous performance by her. I think she does a really, really fantastic job. Mads Mikkelsen, brilliant as always, as probably the world's kindest hitman, I suppose. He doesn't turn his back on this little girl. He wants to help the little girl. He clearly doesn't believe her, but he also knows that he and she is in great peril because of these hitmen that have been thrust upon them by a wonderfully wicked performance by Sigourney Weaver, who plays, I suppose, the head of, this hitman organisation. So he works for her, Mads Mikkelsen, but all these other hitmen as well also work for her. So he falls foul of her, Mads Mikkelsen. So does this little girl, so therefore they're on the chopping board. So you've got all these kind of plates spinning at once, him investigating this so-called monster under the bed in order to appease this little girl so that she feels safe, but also avoiding, getting killed by hitmen. So that is essentially what's going on here in the film, but it's tapered with some really fun and creative production design, some creative special effects. It's a very colourful film. It almost feels a bit abstract at times. It almost feels a little bit Terry Gilliam at times. It's a very visual film. People using, chickens for table lamps, that kind of stuff. You know, it's a lot of thought has really gone into the design and the look of this film to kind of make it stand out. And when I said at the beginning, you know, it's like a dark fantasy horror, that's what it felt like to me. It almost felt like a dark fairy tale while I was watching it. You know, everybody's just styled in a very, very unique way. Mads Mikkelsen wears these kind of abstract tracksuits with different designs, you know, very fashionable, I suppose, very arty sort of thing. You could point that finger at it at times because it almost does feel like it's trying very, very hard at times to be this memorable and creative visual treat. But it never, I have to say this, it never feels pretentious. Sometimes you watch films like this and it's like, you know, the director has just vomited their ideas all over the screen and none of it works. Doesn't feel like this. It really doesn't, because at the very heart of this is you've got two strong performances by this little girl, Sophie Sloane, and Mads Mikkelsen. They are the heart of the film, them two together. And that kind of is what keeps it grounded, I suppose, without it kind of floating away into, you know, this arty cloud, you know, that sometimes these films can do. You know, sometimes, like I say, it just feels like the directors have just got an inflated ego and they're going to do it this way because that's what I've got in my mind. Yes, that's what my imagination is telling me. So therefore, you, the audience members, are going to have to put up with my pretentiousness. It doesn't feel like that. It does feel, you know, very purposeful in everything that the director's done. It all works. It all fits. It's like a little jigsaw puzzle that kind of works together, and it's a very satisfying film to watch with a satisfying conclusion that almost kind of puts a bit of a smile on your face at the end. It's a fun little film. It's different as well. It's probably not what you expect when you watch it, because it just kind of, it's hard to kind of pigeonhole in any one category. You know, it's not really a horror. I honestly think it's certainly more of a dark fantasy than anything. It's like a dark nursery, nursery rhyme almost sort of thing. It's fun. I had a good time with it. It's different. It's not outstanding in a sense of, you know, it blows you away or anything. But I found it a really fun and interesting film to watch. A lot of thought has gone into it, some creative designs, fun performances, and a satisfying conclusion. You know, can't really ask more of that from films these days. I always look for originality in movies, something a little bit different, and this certainly gives it. So, yeah, if you're looking for something a little bit different, give this one a go, guys. I don't think you'll be too disappointed with it. So thank you very much for watching. I will, of course, be back with more content on the channel very, very soon.